I grew up in a small town in West Virginia called Canova, population 3,500 if you round up. It is famous or infamous for one thing. It has the state's airport where the plane crashed in 1970 that killed the Marshall football team, that went on to inspire the movie We Are Marshall by Matthew McConaughey, about how that program and that community rebuilt itself from the ashes and had the winningest program in the 1990s. And so if you think about my childhood, I had a wonderful mother and father. I'm the middle of three boys, and I had three formative moments in my life that have informed who I am as a person and how I lead in the business world. The first was at the age of 6, that plane crash happened. I was in my living room with my parents, and I watched a community come together, and I learned an important lesson, that life is a team sport, that the only way you come through adversity is by leaning on the people next to you, and collectively you can achieve greatness. And so that was a lesson I never forgot. The second was in the 4th grade. I had a crush on a little redheaded girl who beat me in a spelling bee. The next day she told me that I could not be her boyfriend because I was stupid. Yeah, well, my IQ didn't go up, but my work ethic did. And I've come to appreciate that intelligence is really applied effort. And so I'm a fundamental believer that grit will outdo IQ any day. And then my third and final formative moment was the one I referenced a few minutes ago, when I had to stand up to a year of bullying. And eventually I went into that situation and I stood my ground and lost. And I came home and my father told me what I shared with you earlier, that courage is a willingness to lean into the things that scare you most. He enrolled me in martial arts, and by the time I was a senior, I had a 2nd degree black belt. So coming out of that experience, I learned to stand up to the things that scare me. And the other one was to be a champion for those who need a voice, because I knew what it felt like to be a victim or to feel persecuted. So those were my 3 formative moments. Well, I make bad decisions or decisions all the time. I've made them today, and we're only 3 hours into the workday, and I mean it sincerely. We got an earnings call coming up, and I made a recommendation on how to approach it, and it was not the right recommendation, and thankfully somebody had a better idea, and I said, "You're right. I don't like my idea. Let's go with yours." But I'll tell you one that really helped me learn the power of this, and it goes back to my time at a prior company where I was asked to launch a first-of-its-kind product in the dot-com boom. And I was able to convince the board, with the help of our senior team, to give us $40 million to sign 2 exclusive deals with, that time, the 2 largest internet providers. I had put together a spreadsheet and a white paper that said that $40 million would give us a 20x return on investment. And ultimately, at the end of 1 year, we had produced 15 sales at an average price of $1,800. So it doesn't take higher math to tell you 15 times 1,800 does not equal 40 million, let alone 20x ROI. I had to go present to the board. I called my father and I said, "Dad, I think I'm going to get fired. This is a $40 million mistake." And he said, "Here's what I recommend you do. Go in and tell them, here's what you thought, here's where you were wrong, and here's what you learned and would do differently if you had the chance to do it again." And I did that. And at the end of that session, there was one director who looked me in the eye and said, "Congratulations, you are now worth more to us than you ever were before." And I said, "Sir, I don't understand." And he said, "Let me tell you why. First of all, your team has proven something that everyone in Wall Street thinks is not true. Everyone thinks that we could be disrupted by a startup. And you have proven that that alone will not put us out of business. So we're not going to get disrupted by a startup. The second thing is your team built a product that can't be sold on the internet, but can be sold through our sales force. So now we have a new product. And the third is you made a $40 million mistake. I want you to go make a bunch of new mistakes, because that's how you learn and grow." And so I've learned to fail forward, and I have failed forward every single day since.